Hi, my name is Riker Wallace. My partner is Miguel Reina, and we are doing cyclical markets. A cyclical market is a market that experiences both the high rewards and high losses in the economy. Industries in the cyclical market run parallel with the ups and downs of the ever-changing market. In times of prosperity and expansion, industries in the cyclical market generate more revenue, and during a time of recession or downturn in the economy, those industries suffer losses in revenue. Companies in the cyclical energy industry rely heavily on the fortune and money spending of the consumer as they provide luxuries rather than necessities for the consumers. What are some examples of cyclical markets? The construction industry, for example, is a cyclical market because it relies on the owners with disposable income to fund the construction of new buildings. Mostly affecting the private market, it still can suppress public market from creating large-scale projects for general contractors. The airline industry is also a cyclical energy industry because people tend to use airlines for vacations and travel when they have more disposable income. These consumers might decide to drive instead during a time when money is scarce, and then also in times when there is not enough disposable income. Car companies can be in the cyclical market as consumers will buy expensive vehicles when they're prosperous, or take public transportation to and from work to save money when the economy is fading. According to Martin B. Zimmerman, Vice President of Ford Motors, a typical recession lowers sales by 15% at Ford, and that makes a difference by a long shot. In recession, people simply put off buying a new car, and the effect of the automotive industry is immediate and sometimes devastating. Zimmerman was referring to the 2009 crisis because it was a definitive outliner in the industry. Zimmerman mentions a rise in interest rates resulting in expensive car financing and economic shocks like expensive oil-making cars, a less attractive means of transportation. People could no longer afford cars during the crisis and thus had to find work in a place closer to home. Other than businesses like jewelry store, house realtor, casino, and sports franchises are all in the cyclical market. Relevant cyclical markets with a big influence in sectors is the oil and gas market. Salary changes would not necessarily be based on market upturns and downturns, but rather should correlate with the general labor market. PricewaterhouseCoopers published a guidance post on how to evaluate the salaries issued to employees, although it is idealistic to want to lower salaries to reduce expenses during a market downturn. Reduction in salaries is an already fragile business environment and will often lead to employee dissatisfaction, causing employees to incline to leave for companies who have maintained salaries in the market, while this does include immediate costs during said downturn. It is important to recognize the expenses associated with hiring new company personnel. Salary changes should not be relied upon to analyze these situations.
According to the International Energy Agency, oil and gas will be the main resource for the world's energy in 2040, supplying over 50%. Even though there have been new technologies that provide alternative sources of energy, the majority of population lives in developing countries, resulting in a good scenario for the future of the oil and gas market. In the US exists a unilateral relationship between the construction and oil and gas markets, having an effect in the construction businesses when the energy market fluctuates around the world. According to Sabine Hoover in her Energy Outlook publication in 2015, the oil and gas industry is expected to make more than $5.1 trillion in cumulative spends to upgrade this market by 2035. The relationship between these two industries can be beneficial for the construction companies in the US for the arising opportunities in this market. In the construction industry, the cyclical markets have an important impact since the economy affects the future investors in the construction projects. During a recession, the demand of investing in new edifications are low. Despite the fact that this specific industry is generally cyclical, small construction companies have taken advantage of the economic change by considering the projects with higher demand, unlike the large companies that may projects have much more bigger dimensions. The construction industry is expected to the cyclical market, but at the same time it can focus on different fields which have higher demands in times of recession. This allows smaller companies to survive. The construction industry is a notorious cyclical sector of the economy. However, the direction of the new cycle is relatively predictable. It is this predictability that is key in providing both wholesalers and building contractors with guideposts in managing their businesses.